Yo, what is going on, guys? We're having a fantastic day. I think we can all agree that we're kind of done with this week. We're kind of done with the media days. And look, I'm already not even a big fan of Super Bowl media days and all. The first day is great. First day is good. And then after that, I'm kind of like media'd out after a day. You know what I mean? I just want this game to start. I think we could both agree on that. And, let's get the second ring. That's all that matters. But there are a couple things, couple nits and bits of news. Okay, I promised I wouldn't do any off-season stuff, so I'm going to, hold off on it. But I think this is kind of off-season news, but I kind of want to talk about it because I think it's really important. There has been some rumors about one thing that's pretty important going into next year. And then I'll talk about the Super Bowl in general. A couple things I definitely want to discuss. So, yeah, let's get straight into it.
To know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So, take this with a grain of salt, guys, because when it's about this time Super Bowl week, you're always hearing rumors about trades. You're always hearing rumors about free agents and signings and whatever's players getting re-signed, whatever the case may be. But there's one thing, and this wasn't official news, so like I said, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, don't get mad at me if it's wrong, it's right. Sometimes I've guessed on things and it's kind of right sometimes. There's been a few third-party work for NFL-ish type things coming out about James Bradberry. Okay, now Bradberry coming into this year, I didn't think he was going to, I love the signing, but I just didn't know what he was going to do. I really didn't. Because before this past year, he, gave up over 800 yards last year, hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2020, went from Carolina to the Giants, and obviously the Giants only got rid of him because he was a cap casualty. They had to make more space to sign their draft picks. They had a lot they had to let go of somebody, and James Bradberry was on the way out of the New York Giants, and the Eagles picked him up immediately, which was one of the best signings we had. I mean, when it comes to yards allowed, he's a top 5 cornerback in that category, which is kind of nuts. I honestly didn't think he would have had a year like this because you have 2 outside cornerbacks. Wow. Like, we actually had cornerbacks. We actually had really good cornerbacks. Compared to our last Super Bowl, compared to the past, leading up to this year, we really didn't have anybody promising. Obviously going out trading for Big Play Slay a few years ago, and then obviously the James Bradberry signing was just a steal at $7.2 million, which is a bona fide steal. Which is good. Howie Roseman likes to pick up players on the last years of their contracts, and whether it's trade or whether you're picking up whatever money's left when they're a free agent on a deal. So it's pretty cool what the Eagles have done this offseason, and James Bradberry made one hell of a difference this past year. Now, there has been some rumors that James Bradberry is thinking about staying in Philadelphia, which would be a huge thing. Now, don't worry about the Jalen Hurts contract because everyone's starting to get confused, like, oh, we paid Jalen Hurts, we can't sign anybody. No, it's not the truth. Jalen Hurts still has one more year on his rookie deal. The Eagles have a lot of move. They could do whatever they want next year. The Eagles make another run next year. That's what's going to happen. And Bradberry was one of the big question marks, as well as a few others of if he's staying here. Now the market apparently for cornerbacks is, as of right now, it could go higher. I think it's like $20 million a year. Okay, which the Eagles are definitely not, because I don't like signing free agent cornerbacks unless, they're, obviously, they get guys that are a little older, still have a lot of talent left, but they're not going to pay him a lot of money, regardless of what's going on. But James Bradberry, though, there has been some rumors, and like I said, this isn't from Ian Rappaport or Schefter or anybody like that. So like I said, take this with a grain of salt that James Bradberry wants to stay in Philadelphia. He's picking staying in Philadelphia over getting money because, look, he went from Carolina to the Giants and now in a really good situation, and probably knows that Big Play Slay is going to be on contract for another year to team up with him and Maddox again in that secondary. I think he might want to stay here. And I think Slay staying for another year on the last year of his deal, it might actually help this a lot. And obviously these guys probably talk a lot, but Bradberry has to make a decision. You have those players that are just going to go from team to team. The money is all that matters, winning team, losing team, and they're just going to use their PR statements in these press conferences when he gets to a new team and, oh yeah, this team is going to be, really good this year. And like you just say all this stuff to say it, even though you probably think this team is going to be bad, you're getting a buckload of cash. And I think that's all that matters to some players. With Bradberry, it might be a little different because of how close this team is and because why leave a situation? I mean, money, like at the end of the day, some players just don't care about money. Like, look, I'm not saying he's not going to get paid, but look, at the end of the day, if the Eagles could finesse it to like $10 to $12 million a year, I think it can actually happen. $20 million is just not going to cut it. It's really not, because you're not making him one of the highest paid. It's just not going to happen. And obviously they have to get this done early going into this offseason, just because the market and you want to make sure you can sign him as fast as possible, because once, like I said, it's really up to Bradberry at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if, well, the market's at $24 million a year now. I want his money. I want what that guy's getting. So it might not even come to that, but Bradberry's one of the ones I had a big question mark. I kind of already had Bradberry leaving the Philadelphia Eagles because, look, at the end of the day, your free agents on defense are crazy right now. Okay, Adamik Suh. You got Linval Joseph, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, Marcus Epps, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got a lot of guys coming off contracts right now. And really and then the offensive side of the ball, you have Isaac Samalo, you have Miles Sanders. I think that's it. And Jason Kelce, obviously. Like Lane Johnson's on contract to like 2026 or whatever it is, and they might finesse his contract a little bit so he stays here for a couple more years. I think another 2 years for Lane Johnson, and he's probably out the door. But like I said, you go into the draft, you're going to get drafted another offensive lineman. So we're not going to get into all that. This is about Bradberry. But I think this would be a helpful situation for him. And like I said, besides the Jalen Hurts contract, it's not going to count. Even if they pay him, they extend him, and they pay him a big contract, and they probably want to get this done as early as possible, right when the Super Bowl is over, so they'll be in negotiations regardless. Depending on what he gets paid and all that stuff, for next year, it's not going to matter. Jalen Hurts is going to be relatively cheap in the 2023 season. Okay, just because it's his final year of his rookie deal. That extension won't come in until 2024. Okay, so it makes a lot of sense. Eagles have 2 first-round picks next year, 10th overall pick of the draft. So obviously, if you have to sacrifice letting a player go, you're gonna, use that draft capital to replace that player, and you can get a top 10 talent in this draft regardless. There's been rumors that like the Eagles might let go of Bradberry and they might draft a corner in the first round this year. There's a lot of different things they could do, but the rumor is right now that Bradberry is picking, staying with the team that's really working right now than really getting as much money as possible and being on a bad team. Because some players just like at the end of the day, some players, and look, and Bradberry's still young. Bradberry's still young. He can still play. So I think what's going to help what helps Bradberry stay is going to be the coaching staff, Gannon. I think it's going to come down to, Slay as well, because he wants to play on the other, the opposite side. I think both of them have a really good relationship. Bradberry, proved a lot of teams wrong. Obviously being with a really bad Giants team last year, giving up over 800 yards last year, and hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2020. How much of a hot market was he really going to have? And it really wasn't. Like he was released. He had 1 year left. He was due like $7.2 million. The Eagles picked it up easily because the Giants couldn't afford it. So I think it's really important. I think this would be a tough one. This is a tough one for me because I don't think you can give more than $10 to $12 million regardless. From what was said, half of 20, and I think we're at there right now. Like I said, I think he's a very important prospect for us. And, not to mention if you sign him to a 3-4 year deal and then, Slay leaves after this year and retires, I don't know what's going to happen with that after next year. I mean, in the 23 season, then there's going to be a lot of big decisions to make in the next couple of years in the secondary. And Vontae Max has shown he got hurt like twice this past year. So there's Eagles have got to add more bodies to cornerback, especially competition for OTAs and training camp this next offseason we're going to have. So that's the rumor. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. Don't make a big deal out of it because, like I said, like this is third party. And usually sometimes these things could become true. And I think, when it comes down to it, like I'm not saying that Bradberry doesn't want to get paid, but at the same time, I think he wants to work something out if everything is true. Because, he's like, man, why am I going to go to another team? I had such a great year. The Philly fans, my teammates, like a lot of these guys are still going to be here. Like, why am I just going to change my situation, go somewhere else, lie to myself that I'm on a good team when I'm really on a bad team and just really appreciating all the money that I'm getting? Some players just, once they get that finesse of winning, it really changes you. It really does. And you develop really good relationships. And I think that's what he has with the Philadelphia Eagles as of right now. So I think it's a really good thing. I think it's a good thing for him. And, hey, you know what? If Howie can get it done, and which I don't doubt he can't, but I think he can, it would be an amazing feeling. So that's the news on James Bradberry right now. Like I said, don't make a big deal out of it. It's too early right now, but it's really good news to hear, though. It's nice to hear like a lot of reports are coming out on that situation. Lastly, I want to talk about is the Super Bowl. Okay. Will Jalen Hurts get enough respect after this game? I don't know. Okay. I really don't care what anyone else thinks. Like I'm a very humble person. Like I wasn't a fan of why we drafted him when we were paying Carson Wentz $128 million for 4 years. Like that's what pissed me off morally because financially if you were already financially in on another quarterback, and like I said, I've been very humble about that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I did not like the talent. It was where he was drafted. It was what round he was drafted in, and already paying, and the second round pick should be playing on the field at that time. Okay, so I'm not going to get into all that, but I've been pretty humble about it going into this year. People still hate me on it. I really don't care. Whatever. Is Jalen Hurts going to get enough respect if they could beat the Chiefs on Sunday? And I think it really comes down to, if they win the Super Bowl on Sunday, if they actually get this win, if it happens, guys, and trust me, there's a big possibility it can happen, okay? This is like such a comeback story of an Eagles season I can remember. The downfall of a quarterback that was primarily the MVP in 2017 that fell down to the Rams, with a backup quarterback coming in with 5-6 injuries to a lot of good players and still winning the Super Bowl, to now your second-string quarterback that turned into a starter with really 2 years under his belt. This is his second year, in my opinion, because in 2020 he only played 4 to 5 games. Okay, this is such a comeback story. What he went through at Alabama, transferring to Oklahoma, becoming a better passer at that school and doing what he does best, getting better at his craft, and then really coming to the NFL, teams wanting him to, change into a running back, and he said, hey, I'm staying as a quarterback. I can get this done, but the Eagles like something. That's why I feel like something was going on behind closed doors when he was drafted. When Jalen Hurts was drafted, something was going on. That they knew something was going to happen down the road or something was happening, but they just didn't show what the problem was. And we, all of us fans and beat writers, really had to guess every single day. This has been the ultimate story. I mean, look, you have a quarterback that that eats, shits, and breathes football every day. We were seeing pictures this past off season of everybody working out. We saw Jalen Hurts pictures of throwing at, working with Quincy Avery. I think his name is one of the quarterback gurus, Tom House, and all that great stuff. And we're like, how much work is he really putting into this off season? Wow. And then only playing one preseason game, only with 2 preseason games, kind of got a little nervous, like, is this team going to look rusty? And I figured this team was going to look good. It was really going to depend on the coaching and Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has exceeded 98%. He got 98% better from last year. I mean, that's how much of a big jump that he took. I think a lot of teams have counted him out. I think a lot of front office members have counted Jalen Hurts out, that he'll be nothing in the NFL. And myself included last year. I didn't know what to think after last season was last season. It wasn't a great season. We made the playoffs, but we didn't have the team to really do anything, to really get further than what we expected, okay? Or what we didn't expect, depending on, as a fan, of how you guys felt about it. But this is the comeback player, the fight back Jalen Hurts year that some people, expected it to happen. Some people didn't. I think he will get respect if he wins the Super Bowl. I think you got your franchise quarterback, which we all know that. Jeffrey Lurie's already wanting to extend him already. There's already been talks about that. I mean, you can't talk to these players yet because technically we're still in season. But he's checked off the box when it comes to his mentality as a player, a person, and how he works in the offseason to what he produces in the regular season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's been off the charts. Off the charts. And I do not lie. It is what it is. And look, at the end of the day, he might not get respect. He might not get respect from everybody. I think it's literally Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are against the Chiefs and the entire league. For Hurts, it's not just the Chiefs, it's the entire league to put respect on his name. Whether he gets it or not, he's just going to prove everybody wrong, and that's what's the greatest thing about him, and that's what he does, okay? Players gravitate towards him. Keeps everybody in check. He's calm, cool, he's poised. He doesn't listen to outside noise. He doesn't look ahead. He doesn't look backward. He's not afraid of things. He lives in the moment every single day. Because once you start looking forward, things do start to change. And you start worrying about other things. And this team never got big-headed. This team never went ahead of themselves. You lost one game with Jalen Hurts this year. Jalen Hurts was the difference maker in this whole entire team. From everyone saying, Chris Sims in general, that he's just a system quarterback, that any quarterback could jump into that system, veteran or average player, and because of all the weapons you have, it will make a huge difference. We had Gardner Minshew in there for 2 games, or whatever it was, and couldn't get it done, unfortunately. So Jalen Hurts is literally going into these games with the shoulder injury, forced his way to play into that last Giants game, at the end of the regular season. And the guy is just a fighter, and it's well respected. You're not going to find mentality in a quarterback this young in any. I don't care who's in the draft. You're not going to find this. Yeah, they might say they're going to do this, but they got to prove it to you on the field. They got to prove it to you, and Jalen Hurts proves everything. Proves everybody wrong. I eat my own words. Trust me, I'm the most humble dude. I eat my own words on a lot of things. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not an NFL analyst. I'm not a sports reporter. I'm just a fan that covers the Eagles as a hobby. That's all this is at the end of the day. I'm just a fan, just like you. Okay? I'm right. I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, people let me know about it. When I'm right, no one ever tells me. That's the way it is. That's just the way the world works. That's how the internet works. That's just what it is. But I am very proud. Now, do I think that this will be a wasteful season if they lose? Half of me is like yes, and half of me is no. Half of me is yes because you wasted a perfect opportunity, especially health-wise of this team going forward. I mean, look, you needed that first-round bye. Lane Johnson was hurt. You didn't have Max Chauncey. Literally just got back. Robert Quinn was just about to get back. So literally, that first-round bye for the first seed, that was the major, crucial game changer for the health of going into the playoffs. Then obviously winning 2 playoff games. Look, back in September, early September, I remember me and Philly 500 were talking about it. We said, can he win a playoff game? Will they give him a contract if he can at least win 1 playoff game? And we said at least win 1 playoff game because we didn't know what we were going to get this year. I didn't really know what we were going to get this year. Yes, on paper, it looks fantastic. Best roster in the NFL. But when they put the pieces together and the coaching was that good, and yes, I've complained about coaching all year, but, there's been some games that made me nervous, where we could have stomped on a lot of other teams' necks and kept our foot down for a long time where they couldn't breathe anymore, and we decided not to do that. That's just the one thing that I had, not running with Miles Sanders, in 5-6 games in the first half. Really pissed me off in a lot of ways. But like I said, 14 wins for this team this year. I said 13. If they're good, if the coaching staff does what they do, go back to my offseason vids. I said 13 wins. If they go more than that and surprise me even more, it'd be great. And they got 14. It's what I asked for, and that's what we got. You got the NFC East. You got the first seed. You got 2 home playoff games, and now you're in the Super Bowl. And like I said, as long as you know that your team is good, as long as you know, don't listen to other people, what they think about your team. Don't listen to other, what people tell you. And then people read too much stuff on the internet and they believe it, or this team is dominant. I know this team is dominant. And, whether they get respect, if they give us respect, great. That's awesome. But if they don't, it's even better. Even these media days have been really good because KC has been talking. Talking. You know what I mean? Like, some of these guys, like, on KC, like, they benefit from, like, Patrick Mahomes being the quarterback. I'm sorry. Some of these guys, like, if they were on other rosters, they would be nothing with some of these guys. But with the Philadelphia Eagles right now, the bigger the stage, like I said, the bigger the stage, the better they play. It's just true. You dismantled the Giants. You put 2 quarterbacks in a body bag against San Fran and scored 4 rushing touchdowns and frustrated them so much that they had over 10 penalties on defense. That's how frustrating they just couldn't beat us mentally and physically. That fight at the end was great. That was the cherry on top, that we were right in their heads. And now you have the Chiefs. A lot of talk. Well, Chiefs are like, hey, usually teams that play us for the first time in the season, they start to struggle. That's what they say. We're going to find out, though. We're going to really find out what KC's made of. We're going to find out. So, like I said, you believe what you want to believe with your team. And like I said, I like to be denied. I like to be disrespected. I like this. I love it when this team is disrespected. I do. And especially Jalen Hurts. It's even to the most important player on your team right now is being disrespected of all the Philadelphia Eagles. It's Jalen Hurts, and it's great. Keep disrespecting him. Keep doing what you're doing because all it's doing is driving him. It's just driving him. He's going to take that energy and he's going to put it right on the field on Sunday. I hope Hurts throws for over 200 yards at least. I hope he runs for more than 100. I swear, like I want to see run designs. I want to see Jalen Hurts, superstar Jalen Hurts. And not to say I'm like I don't want him to run all the time, but I'm just saying like I just want like Hurts to just make his mark again in a big game like this. Like that's what I really want. I want him to flex. I want him to show some swagger. I want so much to happen. I want annihilation, okay? It's hard for me to say that it'll be a close game because it could be a close game. But there's nothing wrong with being confident, guys. Like our team has dismantled, annihilated, just look what they did to the 2 teams in the playoffs. Regardless of what teams they were and what they did and what happened, it don't matter because if the Eagles got injured, if players on the Eagles got injured, no one would care. When Hurts got hurt his shoulder. They said we were one and done. Lane Johnson went down, one and done. They pretty much had us out first round of the playoffs, one and done. But when it's the other teams that are dealing with problems and they can't defend, they can't attack Jalen Hurts in this offense, they can't defend against this Eagles, they can't do any of it, and things happen to those teams, they say, well, if they had this, we would have the game. If the 49ers had their quarterbacks, they would have had the game. there's a lot that really jumps on this whole thing, man. When the Eagles are successful, there's a reason why they won the game, but it's because of these issues from the other team. If the other team won against us in the playoffs, it's because all the Eagles were hard. They wouldn't even be on our side because every week we're proving everybody wrong, and they're trying to backtrack as much as they possibly can, and we're already doing it to many people, many important people, or people that think they have importance because they could talk on TV and that they have a voice, okay? Or have a foundation of people that follow them, okay? I believe this team is going to win Sunday. If they don't, they don't. Look, at the end of the day, like, if the Eagles make a lot of mistakes, penalties, blah, 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 like, I doubt it happens. But, yeah, I'll be really shocked if they go into a game like this, everything on the line, and they play like that. Yeah, it's unforgiving. Still a great year, but you worked all this. You worked this whole season. You worked your tails off to get the number 1 seed and have playoff games, 2 playoff games at home. To just lose this game? No. Not this team, guys. Not happening. But this video, as long as it possibly can be long, I do apologize. It's like 25 minutes, man. I got to end this. So, all right. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back soon. And enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think about the Bradberry news and all that great stuff that we talked about today. Like I said, I like ranting during these weeks because there's always stuff to talk about. So, all right, guys, you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up. Follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.